Hi and welcome. In a previous video we touched on the type panel where we can customize the text we use in our book project. Now in this video we're going to dig a little bit deeper into using this panel. My name's Ken Fisher and this is LiveLink Training. So let's go ahead and open the type panel up, and it's down here near the bottom. There we go. And one of the first things you'll notice is that we've got a lot of different types of controls here. And you'll also notice that all these controls are greyed out at the moment. Well, they're greyed out because we haven't selected a photograph or a text field yet. Let's click into this field here, this York Minster one. You'll notice that all these controls come to life. Well, we can highlight the text that's in the field by clicking and dragging across it. And when we've done that, we can actually start to change some of the characteristics. Let's start up here at the top, where if we click in this little drop down here, then we've got access to change the font type. And we've got loads of them in here. So I'll just click on one. We'll just try that one. And we'll see that it will change it a little bit. Now, there is a lot in this list. And when we click, you can see there's a lot of scrolling up and down to do. Now I want to try and avoid that if I can, so there's a little bit of a trick that will help you out. If you know the name of the font that you're after, then if you type the first letter, it will take you to the first font with that letter. So it basically just narrows it down a little bit for you. So I'm going to go back to me Century Gothic. So I'm going to click C. That's going to take me down to Calibri, and then just underneath that I can see Century Gothic. So I'll just select that. We can change whether we want regular italic, bold or bold italic. I think we'll go for bold because this is going to be a header. We can change the colour. I can go in here and pick let's say a nice blue for it. But yeah, and it's gone yellow because it does the inverse. So if you click out, you'll see that it does go blue. But I'll click and drag across it again, and I think I'll leave this as black. I want it as black. That's good for me. Now we can change the size of the font, and I think this is a good one because I'll just make it a little bit bigger because it is a title and it's right at the top of the page, so I like that. And then what I can do is I'll just click away just to assess the overall effect. And I think that looks okay, but what I'm going to try, let's click back in and we'll just highlight it. And let's say we'll go for a mid-grey, something like that one. And I think that's going to be okay. Yeah, that's looking cool. And I could also drop the opacity a little bit. And I'll just click away again, just have a look. No, I'm not really it's not floating my boat that really, so I'm going to go back in and click and drag across. I think I'm going to set it back to black and I'll put the opacity back to 100. And then I can just click away just to have a look at the overall effect. Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with that. Now let's look at the photo text. Now the photo text is down here at the bottom. So again, I'm going to click into that. I'm going to swipe across it to select it all. And I'll change the font again. Let's change it back. We'll change it to Century Gothic again so it's consistent. I'll leave the colour black and I'll leave the size as it is. It looks okay to me. And what I might do is just drop the opacity a little bit, maybe just to take the edge off it. I think that looks okay. Now down at the bottom of the panel here, we've got some alignment options. Now at the moment we're left aligned. We can align in the center and we can align to the right hand side, and we can also justify. Now there is some cell options here, which is the top, the middle and the bottom of the cell, but basically we've only got one line of text, so these are not going to do anything if we click on them anyway. So what I'll do is I'll click to center that text, and I quite like that. I'm up for that. Now let's scoot back up now to tracking, because what I'd like to do is to try and space these letters out a little bit. And tracking allows us to change the spacing between the characters. I can make them smaller, so I'll just pull the tracking down. You can see that it all squishes up, or I can make the spacing larger. And I quite like that when it spaces out more or less all the way across. Let me just click out just to see what that looks like. Yeah, I quite like that. Now in this page layout, we've got a photo and we've got a text box. We've actually got a text field. Now we've got some text that I copied from a website here on the clipboard, and I want to paste it into the text field. Now I'm going to click into the text field to activate it, and then I'm just going to press Control or Command if you're on a Mac and V, and that'll paste the information in. Now my text is at the moment in Century Gothic anyway, so I'm quite liking that. That all matches, I like that. I'm going to leave the opacity alone. Now tracking changes the spaces between the characters, which I don't really want to do on this, so I'm going to leave that alone. Now baseline allows you to move your text up or down relative to the original baseline. So first I'm going to select all my text, and then when I move the baseline I can move it up or down, and I'll just move it down a little bit just into the middle of the cell, and then I'll click away just to have a look. Yeah, I think that looks alright. Now let's look at the leading or the leading. Depends whether you say garage or garage, I suppose. I'm just going to select all my text again. And this lets you change the spacing between the lines. So if I change the leading or leading, then I get bigger spaces between the lines, or I get smaller spaces between the lines, and I can scrunch it all up. But I can just fetch it out a little bit. So we say, yeah, I think, oops, no, a little bit too much. I'm a bit previous, and we'll stop it about there. And I think that looks okay in that text box. That's looking cool. Now the last thing we have is kerning. Now kerning, this is the spacing between individual letters. Now what we've got to do before we can activate this is just to click in between two letters. So I'll try and click here between, let's say, the C and the A. Now if I move my kerning, if I make it bigger, I'll make the space between the C and the A bigger. And if I make it smaller, I'll make it, well, I'll scrunch it all together like that, but you make the space smaller. So that's kerning, that's the actual space between individual letters. So you've got to click in between two letters to be able to bring the kerning slider online. Now finally, down at the bottom we've got columns. At the moment this text box is in one column. Now the text is quite large, but if I had a lot more text I could probably say, well, I'll click up there and I'll put 2 in. So I've got 2 columns. And here it flows from one column into the other, and then I've got a gutter in the middle. So if I wanted, I could make the gutter bigger or the gutter smaller. Well, that's it for our delve into the type panel. If you found it useful, please give me a thumbs up or leave a message under the video. And please, at the end of the video, click that subscribe button and help me grow my Photoshop learning community. I'll see you in the very next video. Bye for now.